Life is either a grand adventure or nothing at all.
Hold my hand. Ooh, baby, it's a long way down to the bottom of the river. Hold my hand. Ooh, baby, it's a long way down, a long way down.
And one of the reasons that I even realized that a grand adventure was continuing to unfold for me was because of semen retention. Earlier this year, I was climbing up to a longer streak than I've had in some time, something like 24 or 25 days. And around that time, I came across a video from Cody Ko about Ironman, a triathlon. Now, I never learned how to swim. In fact, this is very common for people from my background. Many of us, we never really learned how to swim because I think our mothers were afraid of putting us in the water and something happening. And so this has always been a fear of mine, actually, the open water and what could happen in the depths of an open water swim. And yet somehow in the spirit of how I felt earlier that summer and how charged up I felt, I signed up for a race. And so I immediately began to document that journey, and in 3 months' time became a decent enough swimmer to complete that race. Now, during the trials of that event, I learned so much about myself and I had such a wonderful journey. And if you want to know more about the specifics of how my Ironman 73 went down, I'm going to talk about it on my second channel, Sinbad Trains, which you can check out in the description box below. But in this video, I want to talk about how semen retention can turn your life into a grand adventure and some practices that you can take on, you can embody to make sure that that grand adventure continues to unfold even further. So the first idea I want to talk about is you should ask yourself, what can I do? What should I do? There are things in life that you fully can do. The problem is many times they come across as arbitrary. I said this so many times in the past. I often set athletic-based or endurance-based event goals, like completing a marathon under a certain time allotment, or the first Ironman 73, or even back in the day, I would set these arbitrary fitness goals like getting under a 6-minute mile for the first time, or deadlifting 400 pounds. And the beautiful thing about fitness is that there is always some sort of answer to the question of what can I do with that. You can always do something, right? You can always progress something in some capacity, in some modality of fitness. That's why it's always been what I've led with every new season of my life. I've always led it with fitness. But in many other terrains, you can always ask yourself, what can I do? What should I do? And the cool thing about being on a proper retention streak is that you start getting, it's almost like your cum starts whispering to you about like, bro, like, let's fucking do this, like do this next. I'm sure I sound absolutely insane right now having said that, but I think it is. Those little swimmers, they whisper these, sweet nothings to you. They're like, dude, you could probably do a fucking full Ironman next. That you get these ideas, you get these thoughts. And I think it's such a lovely feeling. The opposite of that is when you're drained, it almost seems like nothing is worth doing at all. Like, why bother with anything? Like nothing, there's no point to anything. And when I find myself on a longer and longer retention streak, it seems like, you know what, even if things are meaningless, everything becomes an exciting thing that I myself would be willing to pursue. But you have to start with that question, what can I do? What should I do? Now a new whispering is coming to me in my own life that I want to do a powerlifting competition. I want to see if I can join the 1,000-pound club and have my 3 big lifts, the squat, the bench, and the deadlift, climb up to over 1,000 pounds, which would require a major progression for me on the squat and bench. Like I would need to add like 100 pounds to both. So maybe that would take a little bit of time. There's other ways around it. Maybe I could really max out my deadlift, which I've always been naturally good at. But that's my next curiosity and the next thing I want to pursue. I've told many coaching clients this at the same time. I've said, what question are you most curious to answer? Even my own videographer, whenever he and I are talking through kind of his strategy for his next season and what he wants to pursue next, I always ask people like, what are you curious about? What are you thinking about? But you have to actually explore your curiosities very genuinely and be open to whatever is on the other side of them, even if it leads to basically like, I don't know, a loss of reputation or people maybe asking you like, what's the point of that? Why would you pursue that? Recently on the channel, maybe like a month and a half ago, I made a note to say that I wanted to get back into the workforce. I just want more experience. I want to see what's out there. I want to get my hands dirty with the real world and life outside of YouTube once again. And I think developing myself in a corporate capacity, it would be cool, it would be fun, it would be a new adventure to go on. And to my surprise, in the comment section of a video I made about that, there was some pushback. People said, you know, you're already a YouTuber, or does this mean you're a failed YouTuber? The YouTube thing isn't working out for you, that's why you're going back to a job. And you know, for me, at the end of the day, it's just like, I want to follow what I think is possible. I want to follow my curiosities, and some of the things that I've tried and that I've worked on, they haven't worked out, at least not in short order. You know, like some things you press up against and it's hard resistance. There's a hard wall on there. And other things, you realize you can push into them and it bends and it sways. I find that so encouraging. It's like, why go after the thing that is giving you immense resistance? I'm not afraid of resistance, to be sure. I'm willing to work through it. But if I take that same energy and I apply it towards things that give me something back, you know, I push and it gives me something back, why would I not pursue that? In my early days, when I would be giving auditions in Los Angeles and in Hollywood in general, I would give an audition, it would be complete resistance. I'd be waiting like for hours and hours during an audition, nothing would be given back to me. And in those days, I made like one YouTube video, immediately I got like 100 views. Now, is 100 views extremely significant? I mean, in life it is, but maybe online, 100 views is considered very less. But that 100 views, I could see that, boom, it's like I existed. My efforts, my impression in this direction, it fully like gave sway to the moment. And so I pushed harder, and 6 years later, something came out of it. You know, a business grew out of it, and also the medium allowed me to cultivate my own persona and my own belief in myself even more. And for that, I'm so grateful to anyone who's tuned into the journey these last 6 years. Thank you. But you'll notice more and more in life, especially when you're on a retention streak, you become aware of the places in life that give sway to you. You become aware of why your curiosities are leading you in a certain direction. And so it's such a fun, beautiful thing to follow that curiosity, to follow that hunch, to follow that intuition. And these hunches, they lead you in directions that are progressive. You know, that Ironman triathlon is something that I would never, ever have thought to do, known even what it is. Like, I didn't know what an Ironman was a year ago. I like had no idea. And to now be on the other side of it and be interested in continuing, it tells me so much. It tells me that in life, I can continue to learn new skills. I can push past the naysayers. And definitively, as long as I have my next race, whether that race be an actual event or the continued building of a business, I will be young and I will be deadly and I will be dangerous, and this beautiful adventure will continue to unfold for weeks and months and decades to come. So ask yourself, what are you genuinely curious about? It could be any number of things. You could be curious about, how can I get a girlfriend? How can I get, I don't know, break into the world of AI and get a great machine learning job? How can I climb Kilimanjaro? So much is possible to us if we would but ask, what is possible and what can I do? The next principle I want to talk about in this video is yet another question, and that is, what places do I need to go to get this done? I suppose one of the defining attributes of my channel in the last year and a half is my belief in cultivating your next strategic move, that next goal that is 100% realistic but still exciting. And secondly, the importance of going to the places where ideas can take root. Because ideas, they don't come from a vacuum. Environments almost produce these ideas for you. And the energy you cultivate in your body also gives you ideas, but the locations you go to especially, and the people you get around, they help you foster new ideas. When I went to Ironman 73, I ran into Luke Hopkins, who is a young, really incredible athlete who's on Nick Bear's team, BPN. Not only did he complete a full Ironman in under 11 hours, but he's also got his like natural bodybuilding pro card. He's truly a hybrid athlete at a very high caliber. And I realized that the more goals I take on, whether that's learning how to motorcycle really well or starting to skydive, the biggest benefit of these goals, these events, these hobbies, they give me access to a new community that can get me to think in a new way. And so with whatever target you're beginning to set, naturally you'll find that there are new people that you need to get around and new ideas you need to get around. What could those communities be? Let me double back now and just place this in my own environment, my own context. The two big goals I'm pursuing after the Twin Cities Marathon this fall really is a second Ironman in which I'm gonna try to go sub 6 hours and my first powerlifting competition. Okay, that opens up so many communities that I could attend, that I could be a part of, that will teach me new things. I know I want to join a master's swim club to be around other swimmers. There's like a really nice cycling community in Minneapolis and St. Paul. In fact, Minnesota is considered one of the best places for like bicycling in America. And so I want to investigate like these 40-mile routes where people go bicycling and like learn how to bike faster and like be invested in that community. But with so many things in life, we can actually generate new ideas and we can generate like a new way of thinking simply by getting around a new environment. Now, if you want to get around the environment of learning how to speak authentically and cultivate your YouTube channel, your digital presence to a higher level, I have a coaching program whose next cohort will start in October. Basically, I teach people the fundamentals of how YouTube works for someone who wants to be a part-timer, who wants to live an exciting life outside of YouTube. It's just called the Captain Sinbad Coaching Academy. And I've gone through many, many cohorts in this program, and I've seen people go through dramatic transformations where they not only learn how to cultivate their own voice and speak with authenticity and decisiveness and clarity and with conviction, but also build a business backend. Now more than ever, I teach people like how to go through a sales cycle to close their first few clients, whether that be video agency clients or otherwise, and really just have a life presented on YouTube that shows the journey. Because showing the journey in motion and being able to look back on who you've been and who you are becoming, it's a really powerful thing. And I think in the modern age, it's valuable for everyone to learn how to speak and write really well, to share their ideas with authority. So if you're curious about what working with me might look like, there's a link in the description box in the pinned comment that you can check out. The third idea in the video that I want to talk about is realistic goals begin to weaken impossible ones. Realistic goals begin to weaken impossible goals. So some of the goals that I've set in this last season of my life, they're not truly impossible, but they felt impossible. One is the making of my feature film, my feature short film. And that's just because making a movie is expensive. Ultimately, I would need around $20,000 or $30,000 to make this film happen. And indirectly, through the progression of Ironman and marathon training, I've been able to connect with filmmakers who are more successful than me. Chiefly the most, like big name one for me is my friend Eric Floberg, who's an incredible filmmaker. He's made an amazing living as a creative. We both started out in the same place. We used to be middle school teachers like 8 or 9 years ago, and we've both progressed our personal brands and built them online. He's done really well, especially selling a course on how to book weddings and become a wedding videographer. And I've done well, I suppose, through like the more traditional influencer model of sponsorships and coaching. But it feels so amazing to be connected with him because I've seen him now basically self-fund and make his own feature-length documentary, which is so exciting. He's based out of Chicago, which is an incredible hub for filmmaking and acting in general, to the point now where I'm reaching out to agents in Chicago. And my progression of Ironman training and marathon running has actually allowed me to schedule more job interviews because recruiters actually find it intriguing and interesting that I'm an endurance athlete. And more than that, like even with acting agencies and modeling, because I guess I've cultivated a higher level of fitness, even they are curious about my progression with many different things. I've been at motorcycle rallies where I've bumped into people with great business ideas, or like made friends with someone who's like a seller for something. You'd be surprised by how many rich and successful people, they're like into golf and they're into like tennis and they go to country clubs. They live a rich, well-rounded life. And the best way to get access to some of these people is to cultivate yourself outside of the main medium. I've always said, if you want to be a great YouTuber, you got to be a great something else. And really, for this grand adventure of life to continue to unfold, you can be a great adventurer all around. And so realistic goals begin to weaken like the impossible ones. It's like when you pursue what is possible, it starts to create a bubble of energy. And eventually when you beat that goal and you break that goal, that bubble bursts. And when a bubble bursts, it takes the goals that are to the side of that goal and it weakens them and it like swells them open. And suddenly those goals become possible as well. So ask yourself, what goal do I want that's impossible? The job market for many people is very, very difficult right now. And so For you, maybe it's like you're pursuing, a lot of people I talk to, they're trying to like break through in their career. They're trying to do better in their career, and it hasn't been happening to a capacity. Well, ask yourself, if the job market is really hard right now, what can I do? Maybe I can like go back to Code Academy and like get this new certification. I can get this new course. A bunch of brand new certifications are being launched with Salesforce, especially with AI technologies, and I'm looking into those especially. So ask yourself what is possible, because when you pursue the goals that are possible, you have to realize that they will weaken the things that feel impossible right now. And the last idea of this video is one that I've said many times, but it deserves continued reminder, and that is look as good as possible. Try to have the fit embody the goal as well. So if you want to put on 10 pounds of muscle, can your gym fit look as like excellent as possible? Because if you're just like wearing derpy clothes to the gym, it's all super baggy, and it's like there is value in that. So I suppose you could just be locked in and like not, have that sleeper build and not be showing off your physique. But at the same time, there's also value in just feeling really confident, really great, really sharp in your outfit and your demeanor. And when you look the part with so many things, where it's like if you have a sales job, dressing like an amazing salesman, having the suit fit right. Or at the very least, even if the clothing and all that, it's not expensive, or it's not like you have every intricacy down with your wardrobe, just having your grooming be very sharp, or like having the cleanliness of your home environment and in the spaces that you work in, like taking the time and taking the care to just getting everything dialed in, everything locked in, everything looking as good as possible. When you make yourself look as presentable as possible, when you make yourself look as immaculate as possible, that movie timeline continues. I think for me, I come to these realizations all the time, and my gusto for these things come back all the time because of semen retention, because it gives me energy. I mean, it gives me an overdevelopment of energy, which is maybe why I got into endurance in the first place, because I got too much energy. But at the same time, it also just triggers all these little curiosities, all these little ideas that make me want to pursue the next adventure, the next goal. So if your life is like missing that sense of adventure right now, ask yourself some of these questions. What am I curious about? What am I excited about? What can I actually do? And if you don't know what those questions are, if no questions come to mind, get yourself on a long enough streak, and some of those questions, they will start to be automatically generated inside your body. Literally, your sperm will start to whisper shit to you. It'll be like, bro, do an Ironman, do an Ironman, fucking do this race. You'll look so sick. So like, cultivate that energy inside you and do the tangential habits to the side of it, like meditation and all that, and build off that. And then ask yourself, like, what can I do? What can I be excited about? Where do I need to go? What spaces do I need to, is that a master's swim club? Do I need to start going to like these motorcycle rallies? Do I need to go to an entrepreneurships club or event, or like a hackathon so I can learn code better? Where do I need to go where I can generate these new ideas and feel inspired to do my best work? You'll also naturally start getting the ideas and the answers to that. Know that sometimes when you pursue what is possible, it might not feel like the most important thing in the world. Like it might not feel like what is truly what you want, but know that it's weakening like the fortress around the goals that you really want to achieve. When you pursue what's possible, you pursue a 75-pound weighted chin up. Maybe what you actually want to do is like just make 200 grand a year as like a tech lead. Fine. Get the chin ups. I promise you, I don't know how, but it will get you closer to becoming the tech lead that you want to be, or whatever it is that you want to achieve. It'll get you closer. Every goal has a swelling effect on everything else. And then lastly, just try to really be really sharp with your appearance. Just try to be as dialed with your presentation as possible. It shows, the go-to in society today is to look sloppy. It's like the most common thing that people do is they look sloppy. And when you choose to just try to get your spaces, your home environment, your car, I don't know, your credit cards even, like everything is in its place. Like this card is for this type of transaction and whatnot. You just lock everything in, you dial. Even your fridge looks good. I know I'm sounding a little bit silly here, but when everything is really sharp, which by the way, a broke person can do. You don't need money to be organized. You just need conviction and desire. But when you have these qualities, you're dialed in both your thinking, in your sense of possibility, in your personal internal energy, and then the spaces that you go to. That adventure, it continues to unfold, and such exciting things continue to unfold. So I hope this has sort of generated some new thoughts inside you and some new possibilities, because I am so excited for everyone I talk to I'm so excited because no matter where anyone is, it's just fucking fun to be alive and to get after it and to do things. And I hope you feel the same way. And if you do, I want to tell you that greatness is coming. The journey will continue, and we will continue to strive upwards. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.